couples, congratulations on getting engaged. You're planning your wedding. You've never done this before. You don't know what to do. One of the things that you know that happens at weddings, though, are toasts and speeches. And we're going to talk about toast, speeches, best practices, and tips so you can tell your people, yo, this is how to do it so we don't waste time and we make sure the wedding is still high energy, because a toast can really drain a wedding. Let me tell you, I've seen some horror stories. But they can also energize a wedding if done correctly, or at the very least, add absolutely nothing to it. That's like a win, because you can go really, really badly, or you can like end up just, okay, that was fine, or really great. You want to be at that fine or really great level at your wedding. One of the biggest tips that I can give to anybody for their speeches, you want them to be able to hear your speech, so hold the microphone properly. Now, I know a lot of times people have never used a microphone ever, so they don't know what they're doing. They also are startled by the sound of their own voice. Me, I love the sound of my voice. I do a podcast. I'm on radio. I yell at people on the microphone. I talk to my wife too much. I literally love the sound of my voice. Let's be honest here. But some people have never actually heard the sound of their voice, so it startles them and they don't know what to do. This will hopefully alleviate some of that stress. And this is something that you can show anybody that is giving a speech at your wedding, is how to hold the microphone for your toast. Now, this goes for you. This goes for your uncles, your dads, your best man, your maid of honor. This goes for any rappers that you know too, because rappers tend to hold the microphone like this and they hold it up and then like everything gets muffled. Hold the microphone close to your face. It's close enough that nothing else, any other sound sources are going to interfere with the microphone. That's a lot of times how like feedback happens. If the microphone is off other places and it re-picks up some of the signal from the speakers. You also want people to be able to hear you, and this is the best way for people to actually hear your speech. Hold the microphone by your face. Don't put your hands in front of it. Hold it like so, like in the middle, and keep it here. Now, a mistake that I always see people making, especially dads, is holding the microphone down here. You can't hold the microphone down here and expect people to hear what you're saying. It's impossible. You have to have the microphone up close to your face. Sometimes if it's on a stand, you have to adjust the stand, and you can adjust the stand. That's totally fine. It's usually like a twist or just like an up and down motion. Make sure you get up close to it like this. And, don't be far away from it. Don't stand away from the stand. Look, you get further away from the microphone, it's harder to hear. Stay close to the microphone. All right, thank you for your time. Let's get back to business. We're gonna talk about one of the best and sometimes the most cringe-worthy parts of a wedding, and that are the wedding speeches. You see in the weddings where Uncle Larry, he takes over the microphone and it's like a roast session for like 20 minutes and everyone's like, come on, Larry, we wanna dance. So here are some tips to make sure that your wedding speeches are memorable for all the right reasons and not the wrong ones. You don't want those bad speeches. A bad speech can ruin a wedding. I'll give you a couple examples. There was one where a dad gave a speech for 30 minutes, and what he did was pretty much went around to everybody in the room and told like a separate story or shout out or something like that about people that really weren't even involved in the couple's lives for years. It was very awkward. We're all sitting there as vendors and me as a DJ, like, this couple paid for time to dance. We're running out of clock. Everyone's on contract. Everyone's on a time limit. So, you don't want to be that person that takes away from the meticulous planning of the couple and the wedding planner, and you just throw it all out the window because you want to tell some story. There was one, the dad talked more about golf than his daughter. That was super weird to me. You want to keep your audience engaged. You want to keep that energy up. You want to keep it short but sweet. So here are some tips about how to give speeches and who should give speeches and the best practices at a wedding, again, to maximize those memories and not to take away from any of the time. Who actually needs to talk at your wedding? I don't think anybody has to. Maybe a welcome speech or something like that, but you could do toasts at the rehearsal dinner. Now, I get it. Some people's dream are to have like someone give a big, hilarious speech at their wedding, but I say avoid them at all costs, right? Just avoid it. That way you just don't even have that awkward moment. You can maximize everything else. Screw tradition. Doesn't matter. There's no rules. That being said, if you want the speeches, traditionally, you've got your welcome speech, and that will come from a parent. You've got a blessing. If you're a religious person, you obviously don't have to have a blessing if you're not. but that happens near the beginning. So you would do your introductions, your first dance, and then you would do a welcome speech and a blessing before dinner. That's traditionally on the timeline. Then later on, you've got your best man, maid of honor, and maybe the couple. Sometimes there are multiple maids of honor and best men, or those people don't want to give speeches, so you have other bridal party members take over. Sometimes your aunt wants to give a speech because she was very tight with you, and that's totally fine. If you want your cousin's neighbor's dog walker to say a few words at your wedding, it's your day. I'm gonna hand him the microphone. Hopefully they don't hand me the poop bag. Just know the more people you add, the more time you're taking away from your party, the more attention you demand from your guests who don't care too much about these speeches. And you also increase that risk of hearing that story you don't really want to hear on your wedding day. You're gonna have somebody think they're supposed to be the funny person and go in a little bit too far about that college story. You just increase that risk. Stick to the list you and your planner have put together. Timing is everything when it comes to speeches. Please do not be that person that gives an extra long speech. Nobody, and I mean nobody, is here for your monologues performance. All they're thinking about is, can I eat my food again? When are we gonna dance? When can I get back to the bar? When is the cake? They are not here for your 45-minute story about your kid. Keep your speeches to 3 to 5 minutes maximum. As a professional in radio for a number of years, that's actually a nightmare amount of time to speak already. Most of the time, your radio announcers are talking, 15 to 30 seconds, and they get a lot of information in that time. You don't need to tell every single story about the couple. Say they mean a lot to you. You can give one humorous story, maybe one heartfelt story, but make sure they're pretty quick. They can be explained quickly. You don't have to go into a whole lore of the couple and world building. Short and sweet is key to all of these. Because if you go over that 5 minutes, you're gonna lose everybody. And then there's another speech coming. That next speech doesn't even stand a chance. So again, short and sweet, and then get the hell out of there. Go sit down somewhere. Eat your filet mignon. Prepare your speech. Don't be that person that walks up there and said, I didn't really write anything down, so I'm gonna speak from the heart. That only shows you don't care. It shows you don't care about the couple enough to have put some thought into what you're gonna say, to put some practice into what you're going to say. Because I do think while you don't have to read from your speech, you should at least rehearse it. You should at least know what you're gonna talk about. You shouldn't be up there just winging it. Now, you may be a professional comedian, right? You may be someone who actually gets up in front of crowds and wings stuff all the time. You still want to show that couple you took some preparation. They chose you for one of the biggest memories of their life. So don't be that person that is like, yeah, I didn't really care. I know they picked me, but it's whatever. I'm just going to say that. Hey, you guys remember that thong on the ceiling in Cabo? Whoa, whose was that? Who's, because it wasn't in my bedroom, it was in the groom's. That's how you're gonna get in disaster, is if you have a person that is not going to care enough to rehearse or prepare their speech. No one cares if you're reading from a phone, tablet, or if you wrote it down on the palm of your hand. Just prep something. And that goes for everybody. The best time for speeches is during dinner. People are still, they're kind of sober. You still got their attention at dinner. You do it after the first course is dropped, or if it's a buffet, you give people some time in line, a little bit of time to sit down as you see people munching, then you start. And there's different approaches to how you want to start your speeches, and it depends on your people's personality. Like if you know that your dad is going to make people cry, and, people got to wipe their tears away with like asparagus or mashed potatoes or whatever. I would actually say put that speech near the beginning, so then you can end on someone who's a little bit more lighthearted and fun. Maybe it's your best man who is always cracking jokes. You can get the mood for dancing. All right, let's talk about content for wedding toasts and speeches. You need to hit that sweet spot between humor and heart. Not too much humor, because it's not a roast. You're here to celebrate these people, not make them question every single one of their life decisions. Too much emotion and it feels like a Lifetime movie or a Hallmark commercial. Sometimes you want those moments, but if you're gonna have that moment, make sure you bring levity right afterwards. Keep the inside jokes to a minimum. No one wants to hear about the thong on the ceiling in Cabo, especially not grandma. Tell a story that shows who the couple really is. The kind that makes everyone go, aww, or at least makes them giggle, but not clutch their pearls while they're doing it. Please end it with a toast. Wrap it up, raise a glass, and say something sweet like live, love, laugh, or something that Target would put on a pillow. All right, now that I've gave you some tips on what to say, here's some things that you definitely should not do for a wedding toast. Here's how to not crash and burn, basically. Don't get plastered before you grab a microphone. Yes, the bar is open, but yes, you also have a responsibility. That responsibility is to not embarrass yourself or the couple for being friends with you. We've all seen that best man who's taken, 6 tequila shots as liquid courage because maybe they don't do public speaking. I get it, you want to loosen up, but please watch yourself because that never ends well when the person giving a speech is too drunk. Never open a microphone at a wedding for speeches. If you want to add disaster to your day, that's the perfect way to do it. You have an open bar and an open mic, you're absolutely psychotic. And I mean that in the kindest way, but you're crazy. Do not ever in a million years do that. Do not share that funny story that is going to make everyone uncomfortable. If you question in your head, if you're like, oh man, should I tell that story? Because the answer is no. The answer is no. Nobody wants to hear it. I mean, I kind of do because they're funny for me. I'm moving on to the next wedding though. But if you don't want to embarrass the couple and yourselves, the answer is no. So let's recap. You want the microphone close to your face. Choose your speakers wisely. No wild cards. Keep speeches 3 to 5 minutes. 5 minutes is a stretch. Put them during dinner. Make sure your content balances humor and heart. And for the love of cake, please do not get hammered before you speak. Send these tips to anyone giving speeches at your wedding. I promise your speeches will be, oh, thank goodness that was fine or great and not that disaster level where you're all of a sudden your best man is viral for saying all the wrong things. Until next time, I'm DJ Natty Heavy. Follow on all social media at Natty Heavy, except TikTok, which is DJ Natty Heavy. And check out nattyheavy.com for booking info. Appreciate y'all. Peace.